communities across the country to share House Democrats' efforts to empower everyday Americans through bold reforms. We look forward to civil conversations, as Kathy has shared with you throughout the morning in the early releases, in the early notifications. We want everyone to please remember to silence your cell phones and to not speak out of turn. Again, we want to have civil conversation. We want to have a civil exchange. Individuals not recognized to speak but causing a disruption will be asked to leave. So we do have to let you know about that. We're going to begin the event with short remarks from our distinguished guests. Following their comments, we will open the floor for some discussion by taking questions directly from audience members using the cards that you completed upon arrival. So let's get started with the introductions. Since 2013, Katherine Clark has proudly represented Massachusetts' vibrant 5th District in the U.S. House of Representatives. In 2022, she was elected by her colleagues to serve as Democratic Whip, the second highest ranking position in the House Democratic Caucus. She is only the second woman in history to hold this role and currently serves as the highest ranking woman in congressional leadership. Congresswoman Clark has previously served as Assistant Speaker of the House, Vice Chair of the House Democratic Caucus, and as a senior member of the powerful House Appropriations Committee. From her early days on the local school board to the halls of Congress, she has built a career centered on uplifting women, children, and working families across the country. Congressman André Carson has proudly represented Indiana's 7th Congressional District since 2008. A lifelong Indianapolis resident and former law enforcement officer, he brings a deep commitment to public service and community safety to his work in Congress. Congressman Carson serves on the House Intelligence Committee and has earned national recognition for his leadership on national security, civil rights, and economic opportunity. He currently serves as a subcommittee ranking member on the House Intelligence Committee and serves on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee and the Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party. A senior whip in the House Democratic Caucus, he plays a key role in shaping legislative priorities. Our congressman has helped secure hundreds of millions of dollars in federal investments for Indianapolis focused on improving infrastructure, education, and public safety. He remains a fierce advocate for working families, accessible health care, and equal justice for all. Please join me in welcoming Democratic Whip Katherine Clark and Congressman André Carson. Thank you very much. Congressman Carson and Whip Clark, before we open it up to take a few questions, could you each take a few minutes to share your message for Hoosiers today and what you hope that folks will take away from this conversation today? We'll start with you, Congressman Carson.
Well, thank you so very much for taking the time out midday to come to this town hall, to this community conversation. I just want to say that the greatest title you can have in this country is the title of U.S. citizen. And you showing up today shows that not only do you care about your democracy, you care about the future of our country. You showing up, engaging with us, engaging with your representatives, engaging with your senators, engaging with your elected officials shows that your efforts are working. There are cracks that are slowly forming on the other side, and they're afraid. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to first acknowledge the building that we're in, and she's the Center Township trustee, Tina. Thank you for doing this. She's my trustee, LaDonna Freeman. Thank you, Madam Trustee. Are there any other elected officials here? Please stand up. All right, Annette Johnson, Trustee Johnson, Pike Township Board. Thank you all. Right, thank you all. Yes, hey. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Dana.
Indeed. Whip Clark.
Dana. I already thanked Tina.
Yeah, he did. We're good. There you go.
There's nothing worse than someone who doesn't know how to run the microphone. I'm gonna just stand up because I am so excited to be here. It is not my first trip to Indiana, but my first to Indianapolis. So I am thrilled to be here with all of you. And just thank you for coming. And I want to thank you publicly, anyone in this room who had the smallest bit of responsibility of sending André Carson to Congress. I am here because he stands up for you every single day and fights for you, and he is a leader in our caucus, and you can see it from the work he does. He is on the Infrastructure and Transportation Committee, and he holds a powerful role in a subcommittee there. He is the ranking member. And I understand we're in the crossroads here, crossroads of America, and he never lets us forget it. You know, whether it's IND or Amtrak or fighting for the infrastructure here that matters to you. And he doesn't let anybody refer to anything that goes on here as a flyover or the Rust Belt. He's like, you got it wrong. And this is where American values take root. It is you that represent the very best of what we do. I understand you have a little road race coming up this month. Wow, look at this. I mean, it's a beautiful city, and we got to walk through the campus this morning, and it's gorgeous. But André not only is on that Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, but he is also on the Intelligence Committee. And I cannot tell you at this point in time, as we are seeing the alienation of traditional allies, the siding that we are seeing with fascists and dictators instead of with democracies, to have André there safeguarding us, understanding the intricacies of our national security and what we need to do to keep everyone in this country safe, and to keep our eye on building those allyships and building the critical national security infrastructure. That is work that is done outside of the press, outside of the limelight, but it is work that is critically important. And André does it in his very humble way that he goes about. We have show horses and work horses in Congress, and André is the workhorse we need. We have a lot of show horses. We need some work horses.
They show ponies, they ain't full grown yet.
And I also want to thank him because on my WIP team, he is an integral part. And he sits on a team that I have selected to help me with policy. Because the way I see this system working in Congress is we do a better job when we represent our entire country. And we are supposed to come together from different parts of the country, from different ideologies, from different life experiences, different glide paths, different demographics and socioeconomic status. And then we come together and we make a better product. And so to have André Carson be there helping us say, what's the best way forward? Because we know that Americans are telling us clearly, we are not making it. This system is not working for us. So not only are we gonna fight with André against these cuts that they are making, and we're going to talk about Medicaid and Social Security and veterans benefits and our public schools just today, cutting Head Start, when every single family is saying, like, we are not making it. We can't afford groceries and childcare and a house or an apartment to live in. And taking away those basic needs from American people to do what? To make the winner's circle so small, so it's just people who already have great wealth and power that continue to gain more. Let's make more Americans wealthy. Let's have people have a foothold and be able to stay in the middle class and move upwards from there instead of feeling like they are in part of a permanent underclass they cannot get out of no matter how hard they work. And so I can see Tina's getting nervous, and I gotta wrap this up, but I am so enthusiastic to be here to hear your questions, to be able with Andre, who does such a great job, but to hear from myself your perspective and bring that back to the work we do. So grateful to you, Congressman Carson.
Thank you.
Thank you for being our moderator today. Thank you for hosting us here. And really thank all of you for being part of this and being here today.
We thank you, Whip Clark and Congressman Carson. And as we're all here, we're now going to turn to questions from the audience, which were collected online and before the event. All of the questions that we're going to read this morning, right now, are from you who are in the audience. And our first one comes from Aaron Rolland, and his question is, or her, what are Democrats doing to save our democracy?
All right. Wow, okay.
Small task.
That's right. Well, we are actually doing a lot. Firstly, it's through legislation. We're pushing back legislatively. We are seeing cracks forming as we speak through the legislative process. There are legislative remedies and tools that we are implementing to push back on Trump's and MAGA's dangerous agenda. Secondly, litigation. We're pushing back through the courts. We have over 200 lawsuits as we speak in the courts right now, pushing back. And guess what? It's working. And lastly, activism and advocacy. Look at the folks in this room. This is the pushback. This is partly the reason why, Katherine knows better, Republicans just they stalled 2 bills that we were scheduled to vote on next week because they're afraid. They're seeing people show up to town halls and show out and call their offices and protest, and they're getting nervous, and guess what? It's working, so thank you. That's what we're doing.
Whip Clark, would you care to weigh in on that?
The congressman has it exactly right. What we're seeing from the GOP in the House and from the White House is chaos, cruelty, and corruption. And we are meeting that with our 3 C's, just as Andre laid out. First, we go to the courts, because when we saw right after inauguration that OMB order illegally and unconstitutionally freezing funding to the very organizations and agencies that meet basic needs for people, we started litigating because we know we have to meet them first in the courts. We have over 217 cases filed against this administration and DOJ and their illegal actions that they are taking. We have 108 court orders right now, more coming, that say, you're right, and this action is illegal and we have to stop it. So that's number 1, as Andre said. Second C is Congress. And we are in the minority in the House and the Senate, but it is a close minority.
That's right.
And so we use that unity. Unity doesn't always mean unanimity, but we use every vote we have in the Democratic Party to make sure that we are saying you are not taking people's Social Security money that they owe. You are not taking Medicaid away, health insurance away from 50% of the kids in this country, never mind our seniors, disabled, and people who rely on it for health care. You are not taking away our veterans' benefits, cutting 80,000 people from the VA. That's nurses. That's people that administer benefits. That's people that pick up suicide hotlines.
Right.
That is an outrage. To say to our veterans on holidays, thank you for your service, and turn around and deny them their fundamental needs, So we will use every single tool that we have to meet them. And it's not easy because Washington's a winner takes all game. But we will use our values and we will use our voice to do everything we can to push back against these cuts. We want to make systems work better. You don't do that by dismantling them. You do that by figuring out how to make them more efficient and more responsive to the taxpayers who are paying for them. Not to Elon Musk, not to a bunch of 19-year-old hackers rifling through your personal information. And then our third C is where all of you come in, and it's the most important one, and it's community.
That's right.
It is community. And if you hear one thing from us today, it is do not underestimate your power.
Come on.
You have the power. Your voice is the one that is going to help us save this democracy. We're going to be here to help.
That's right.
We're going to do everything we can, but that's why part of what we're doing as Democrats is showing up in places where we don't win elections, and we're probably not going to win elections. That's why we're going to Mississippi and meeting people there to talk about what Medicaid means. It's why we're going to farmers in Iowa and saying, how are these tariffs impacting you? And when you cut the scientists at NOAA that collect weather data, how are we supposed to have farmers be able to use that information? These aren't like siloed ideas here. What we're seeing from this administration and their sort of zombie-like supporters in Congress is you fire first and then you aim and then you get ready. Like, it's all backwards. It's all backwards. And none of us think these systems are working well. Like, we can all agree on that. Let's get together and make this work better for the American people. But you don't do it by dismantling Social Security benefits. You don't do it by firing scientists, taking away research money from the University of Indiana, so that we're not finding those cures and we're not driving our innovation economy. How would you possibly say to our country, take a second seat in all of that to the rest of the world? So those are how we are fighting back. It's the courts, Congress, and community.
Indeed. Our next question comes from Brian Lillienkamp, and his question is our Social Security secure? And what are Democrats doing to save Social Security? Perhaps that
Want me to start?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You guys are gonna be like, she needs to go home. But let's look at Social Security and where we are. We have never missed a benefit payment in 90+ years of Social Security. So why would we start doing that now? I do not understand what is going on with DOGE and this attack on Social Security. But we do know the playbook. It is all about, and it is hard to take in, taking basic needs away from Americans to give a tax cut to the very wealthiest. It's very hard, but they are telling us the playbook every day, and that's what they're doing. So they're gonna stand here and say, we're never gonna touch Social Security benefits. But what they will do is close the office near you. Say you have to come into the office, you're no longer allowed to reach us by phone to sign up or correct something that's gone wrong. So then come into the office, oh, that office is closed. So drive 3 hours, but then we've cut so much of the staff that you will stand in a line outside, and some of you will get a ticket to come back on another day. And then we have the Secretary of Commerce lecture the American people and say, people who complain about missing a check or a late check are fraudsters. Has he ever met any of us? Like, I understand maybe his mother-in-law has a billionaire son-in-law who will cover the bills. That's not my mother-in-law. They don't get that check when they need to get that check, when they rely on it. That is the mortgage payment. That is food, that is prescription medication. And there's no cushion, there's no safety net for most Americans. That Social Security is earned. But we also know that right now, we have over $9 trillion surplus in Social Security. But we want to protect that benefit so that the young people in this room who are putting into it have that in their future. And so we have some proposals that are simple. We have not raised the income amount in decades. So at it's somewhere around 140,000, you stop paying into Social Security. So a little more for higher earners, let's adjust it for 2025 to make sure that we keep going. They want you to believe this is impossible to do, and the only answer is to privatize your Social Security.
Right.
We've just seen with that. But here's something, an element of hope that you can push back on. And I believe Indiana was affected by the wet. Gee,
Yes.
you were one of the
Rapid,
states.
yes, yep.
So like Massachusetts, if you retired from public service, you could not collect your Social Security that you had earned, which is fundamentally unfair. And they said, oh, we can never do this, we can never do this. We just did it. We just changed that in a bipartisan way. So don't tell me there isn't the will, these things are too big, intractable problems. We just did it and made life a little better for Hoosiers who serve their communities, but also deserve to get those Social Security dollars they had earned earlier in their careers. So we can do this, there are solutions there. We are ready to work with anybody who will work with us to protect Social Security.
Love it, love it.
And Whip Clark, I believe you were quoted the other day as saying that they're breaking the government to rob it. I think that kind of.
Exactly the plan.
Those were your words.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the plan.
She's smart.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying. Our next question comes from Howard Gerald. I'm concerned about the rising cost of everyday goods and prescription drugs and medication. How are you combating the rising cost? Congressman.
Well, we Democrats have already introduced and passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which capped insulin at $35 a month. Monumental, very monumental. The Inflation Reduction Act also had massive hundreds of billions of dollars of investments in our infrastructure, in our roadways, in our bridges, in our seaports, which was a job creator. And in addition to that, we are pushing back on Trump's 10% across the board tariff increase on these countries, many of whom have been our strongest allies. To increase tariffs on, let's just start in our region, on Canada and Mexico, will not only do damage to Midwestern farmers, you're gonna hurt Indiana farmers, you're gonna hurt Indiana consumers. We live in a food desert here in the Midwest. So to increase tariffs, you're damaging local economies and you're damaging all that is generated from the industrialized Midwest. So Democrats are fighting back, so much so that Trump has scrambled and walked back his proposal. Why? Because we're fighting back through legislation, litigation, advocacy, and activism. You all showed up and showed out, and he said, you know what, maybe not so much China, let me walk it back a bit. And that's what he's done.
Very, very good, Congressman. Our next question comes from Jennifer Hunt. Given the alarming number of Medicaid recipients at risk in Indianapolis, what actions have you and House Democrats taken to ensure Medicaid is protected? How can constituents effectively support those efforts?
Well, I have already voted against 2 bills this session that sought to make cuts to Medicaid. And there are over 2 million Hoosiers, I think it's 2 million Hoosiers, who are on Medicaid. And so I will continue to vote against any dime, dollar, or any amount that seeks to make cuts to Medicaid. It's unacceptable to put in jeopardy men, women, and children and our most vulnerable, not only in Indiana, but across our country.
This is the core issue of our time right now, and we got a lot going on. But when they always come back for our health care. They always come for our health care. And if you think we're gonna have a healthier, more productive, people able to go to work, people able to survive who cannot work, system, country, economy, when you take away people's health care, I mean, the cruelty of it and the depravity of it, to say, we're gonna take away your health care because Elon Musk over here needs a tax break. And that is the game. That is what we're in. So they propose twice, they have voted on it in lockstep, to take $880 billion. Now, they just canceled their hearing next week on making these cuts because of the pressure from all of us on this. They're having some bad nights about this because all of us have been amplifying this. And so when they said, we're not doing any more town halls because they're not going well, and they put it in writing, they're gonna continue not to go well because turns out when you take people's health care away, they've got something to say about it.
Yeah, they do.
We've gone out to them. We've done, 24 town halls in Republican districts. And we're gonna keep showing up. We may not win those seats, but people have the right to know what is happening to their benefits. Whether you are in a red, blue, or purple state, it doesn't matter. You're an American. 2/3 of every adult American has some relationship to Medicaid. And so that is just showing our healthcare system is not working well for people. Why would you take away the government program that is the largest insurance provider in our country and does work efficiently? Not perfectly, but efficiently. It's all about this transfer of wealth and continuing to push people down. And you're gonna start to hear a lot about work requirements. Let's be clear about work requirements. In states that have tried them, it sounds good. Who doesn't say if you're able-bodied, if you don't have children to care for, if you're able to get out there, you should be working. Those people on Medicaid are working already. What this does is create a bureaucracy and a red tape. So people get caught in it and have their benefits taken away. This is what we saw happen in Georgia when they put in similar requirements. So work requirements, having people work who are able to, who isn't for that? Of course, but that's not really what's afoot here. It is really using something that's common sense as cover for a way to kick people off the program. And we have to be honest with the American people about what the real agenda is when it comes to Medicaid. That's the work we're doing. That's why you see their numbers plummeting around this proposal in national polls. And it's why you see them having such a hard time getting these cuts together. Not saying they won't do it, but we're already seeing the White House get kind of iffy about this. And we'll see where it lands. It's all going on right now in Congress in our committee hearings.
Chuck Dean would like to know, what are you doing to protect reproductive rights?
Okay then.
Okay.
Thank you, Chuck. Listen, we have a crisis here in our country when we are saying to American women, we get to decide. You're the people in your state house, people in Congress that you may or may not have voted for. This decision should be with your doctor. You and your doctor, your family, your religious beliefs. And that's full stop. And what we are seeing now is they're sitting there saying, oh, we are not able, we are losing population. People aren't having children. Let's give them $5,000. Has anybody, I'm the mom of 3 children, $5,000 would be nice. It's not gonna get you what you need. How about we go back to having health insurance for those kids? How about making sure that we are not cutting their public schools? So when they show up, they have class sizes that work for them and their needs are met so they can reach their full potential, whatever that may be. How about making sure that our kids, when they go to school, aren't hungry? And in the richest country in the world that we are proposing to cut our SNAP programs and school lunches for these tax cuts, are we out of our minds? Like, what are they thinking? So if you want to talk about children and back to reproductive health, not only is it taking away that ultimate autonomy over your own body, over your own family, if, when, and how to have children, because IVF is on the table.
Yes, it is.
You cannot separate these out. It's also now we have a crisis for women who do want to have children on where they can have a healthy baby. Over 1/3 of the counties in our country today have no obstetric care. And in states that have like Georgia, that have very restrictive abortion laws, that's over half of the counties. This is a huge impact on rural families, that you have to drive hours to get the health care you need. And a lot of people can't afford it and can't take the time off from work to do that. And so what are we saying to women of this country? And now they're trying to look for a quick, easy fix. We've got plenty of ideas how we can do it. You could also pay women equally for the work they do.
Hello.
That will also help out. But the heart of it is reproductive justice and this impact it is having on healthcare in general for women, and specifically, we are creating an OBGYN crisis in this country. We are seeing people not go to medical school, not choose to go to states for their residency, where these strict laws, they feel they cannot keep their oath to their patients and their safety, and also do not want to be criminalized and face penalties.
Yeah.
This
And
next.
I also
Go
think
ahead, go ahead.
nationalizing Roe would be
Yes.
helpful to that. So someone from Indiana wouldn't have to worry about going to Mexico.
Which we've done twice in the
Absolutely.
House. We have voted for twice.
Yeah, thank you both. The next question comes from Crystal Ship, and her question is, what actions can we take as voters to support?
Look at your neighbor and say, we're doing it. It's working. Emails, tweets, protests, showing up to town halls, expressing dissent, expressing critique, saying atta boy, atta girl, saying I don't appreciate this legislation, let's make a tweet. You know, oftentimes the objective is we push through these big pieces of legislation. You have 435 representatives with different personalities, different egos, different regional concerns. So what may play well in one part of the country may be totally unacceptable in another part of the country, and you're in the same party. But the objective is to get these monumental bills through and then make corrections as the years go by. But what you're doing is engaging. There's so much talk about a divide between younger people and older people, but I'm seeing younger people and older people in the room. Now, when I say younger, I'm talking 9 to 99. I'm addressing the social scientists who say young people don't participate in off-year elections. We're seeing a shift because young people are upset. Young people have lived through crises after crises in the past 2 decades. And now they're becoming more politically astute, more politically engaged. And it's complemented by so-called older people,
Seasoned.
seasoned people, yes, with the sauce on it. It's becoming complimentary because everyone's upset about what's happening in our government. We failed the test last time when we elected Donald Trump. We're having to retake the test over and over again. Let us not get a C minus or a D plus or an F. Let us pass the test with flying colors to show that if you want a republic, we have to keep it by pushing back and doing what we're doing.
Our next question comes from Megan Reddy, and this segues right into what you were talking about, Congressman. Why is the 2026 midterm election important?
Well, it's the whole deal at this point. Listen, we are gonna push and fight, and we're gonna do, but we have to win the majority in 26. And I think we're going to, because of all of you. And we not only have to talk about everything we're fighting in opposition, but we gotta put out that clear statement of where we think we can go. And that starts with an acknowledgement that things haven't been working for people for a long time. And we've got to work together to make change that is centered around American families. The things that you at night stare at the ceiling about instead of getting sleep. The things that give you anxiety as you're opening bills around your kitchen table. I hear from so many grandparents who look at their kids, their adult kids with their families and say, I don't know how they're ever gonna make it. How are they ever gonna be able to afford a house? How are they ever gonna be able to retire? And that is the opposite of the American dream, where we grew up all thinking the next generation's gonna do better because of the sacrifices and the struggles of this generation. We have to restore that for people. And we have to restore a hope that when you make an honest wage, when you work hard, you're gonna be able to have a quality of life. That you pay your fair share of taxes, we're gonna demand that everybody pays their fair share. So that you can have a home for your family, you can put food on the table, that a medical emergency doesn't wipe you out, and that you can occasionally take a vacation. Take your kids to Disney World, go to a lake, look at that expression, she's like, a vacation? What's everybody gonna dream of that? But those should be things that people should be able to count on. That when you do hard work, we have this compact. It's gonna be better for your family. And there's lots of things we can do together to address that. And we started that with our investment in infrastructure bill and bringing high-tech manufacturing back to our shores, which is good for national security and good for the jobs of the future. We want to be the ones that own AI.
Come on.
So that we, why are we cutting universities and scientific research? We want to own this and make it to our benefit. So we have those cures of the future, but we're also being fair and thinking strategically about how we protect our workforce and what are those jobs of the future? Where will people work? And how do we have an AI that is representative of all of us and doesn't bake in biases that already exist? All of these things should be up to us. Americans are the innovators, the scientists, the creators. So let's expand that winner's circle instead of making it so small and thinking backwards instead of forwards. And the midterms is important because the House is on the verge. We're so close. And we can be that stopping point to all of this destruction. But we have to have those gavels back in our hands to be able to do it and to be able to take this forward-thinking vision and make it into law and put them on record about voting against it. And we are doing that now with the tools we have. but with those gavels is the way we protect our democracy going forward.
Okay, thank you. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have right now. Thank you so much, Whip Clark. All the time we have right now for the live questions. Any questions that have been submitted online will be answered by the Congressman's office. Although, before we go, a couple of closing remarks from each of you, and we'll start with you, Congressman Carson.
Well, I think we've had several town halls since January. They have been virtual, which has given us, more attendance. We've had like 800, 900 people, 400. People have been asking for in-person town halls. We've been wanting to do them. Some of you may know we've had numerous death threats to the office that warned us against having physical town halls. So we tried to make it work. So thank you all for showing up. We really appreciate it. But I also want to thank you, Tina. I want to thank Team Carson, Team Clark for helping to put this together. And thank you. This involvement has been in the making for a long time, even last year. Whip Clark and I are not just friends. We're workout buddies and we're neighbors. So this is a real visit. Plus she came here to do other things too. So I want to thank her and I want to thank you, but I want to tell you what you're doing is absolutely working. We will do everything we can in our power to protect and preserve Social Security. 40% of Americans are on Social Security as their only source of income. So to allow the Republicans to concede to Donald Trump to privatize Social Security and leave it to the whims of the marketplace. Sometimes the markets are up, sometimes they're down. And if you're on a fixed income, and that's your only source of income,
Right.
and 1 month, 2 months, you're doing well, and then for the next 5 months, you're doing poorly, that to me is not only unacceptable, it's un-American.
That's right.
It's a promise that has been made to our seniors, and we want to preserve it. We're going to preserve and protect Medicare and Medicaid, and we're going to fight. This isn't an issue that is to be left with elected officials alone. We are here simply as your representatives.
That's it.
We're stewards over your taxpayer dollars. We're here to represent you.
That's it.
A lot of people talk about power and what it means to have power. This is the power.
This is the
The
power.
power rests with you. We are the power. So I want to thank you, Tina. I want to thank you, Whip Clark. And I want to thank each and every one of you who took the time out of your day to join us. We're going to have more. We appreciate you. Let's preserve our democracy and take back the House.
We got another one.
We should end on that note. I'll just end briefly where I started. Just thank you for being here. Thank you for sending Congressman Carson to us and making that connection that he does so well back to community. And we are sorry that your service to our country comes with the death threats and the threats of violence to you. That shouldn't be
No.
how our country works. We are supposed to be able to have differences of opinion and settle them in the court of public opinion, not without having violence. That's why we have peaceful transfers of power and elections in this country. And so thank you for shouldering through that. It is a burden and you do it, and Andre's way is always like, well, I was a police officer. And he sort of puts it down, but it takes a toll, and we appreciate it. And really just a deep appreciation to all of you. We are in this fight together, and it is gonna come from you. And the point here is to get us to despair.
Right.
And
Right.
to rise up our cynicism and to say it's all a bunch of fighting, talking heads down there. I can't influence it and I don't want to look at it. And you are showing exactly the power of meeting this moment. As Thomas Paine said to us, the times have found us. And they found us, but they found all of us together. And when we raise our voices together, no matter what the issue is, justice, equality are always gonna win. And that's what being here today means. So keep it up. We're so proud to be in this fight with you. So proud of you and your leadership, Andre. And just thank you for this warm welcome to Indy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much. It's truly been an honor to be with you and with all of you today. And again, Whip Clark, Congressman Carson, thank you for your leadership and dedication to the American people. We truly appreciate everything that you're doing. For those of you in the audience, if your question did not get answered, Team Carson, as we were saying before, will be following up using the emails you provided as part of the ticket request process. Now, this formally concludes our program, and credentialed press is invited to follow Ryan George. Well, raise your hand. Where's Ryan? He's over there?
Ryan.
Here he comes. There he is. Okay, hi, Ryan. Follow Ryan, and he will allow you to get pictures, questions, and whatever else you need to conclude. Again, this concludes our program. Thank you all so very much for being here, participating, and keep up the great work.
Thank you, everybody. Alex.
Can I get a picture with the trustee?
Yes.
Dana Black, Act Blue, how are you doing? I'm already ready.
Come on, yeah.
I gotta go record.